Hello, everyone. I'm opening up the final things on my end to get this going. It's been a very fast-paced Tuesday. Fantastic. Right on. Today, we are talking about all things post-purchase follow-up from Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and obviously the upcoming seasonal holidays. My name is Matthew. I'm going to introduce the team really quickly. We're going to go over some basic housekeeping. We're going to go over how all of this is going to work. I know you may or may not be familiar with how Shopify Meetups run, but we're going to take you through everything. So yes, my name is Matthew. I am joined today by Aaron, who is... Hello. That's Aaron. He's on my screen below me, but that's Aaron. And then we've got another team member, Sarah. And then a big shout out to the wonderful people at Shopify who actually put this on. They do an awesome job. The partner meetup team is absolutely incredible. Very quickly, yes, we know we're running this and it's a busy time of year. We want to make sure that you get this information in a timely manner. These slides and everything that I'm going to walk you through today are available for download for free. We're going to send it to you in an email after the video recording has been rendered. You're going to get the slides. You're going to get the video. If you would like to watch it again, it'll be available on YouTube. And there's a ton of resources that we're going to share with you through that. I can pretty much promise you that we're not going to sell you anything today. It's all information that you should know to make the most of exactly what the slide says, making the most of your sales this holiday season. That's what we're going to try and do. Very quickly, we're going to start going through this. Yep, there's me, there's Aaron. We work at a business called 2H Media. We've been a Shopify partner for quite some time now. I think late 2015, we joined the Shopify partner rankings. We do a bunch of things. We are an e-commerce agency. We do a whole bunch. Great. You're not here to learn about us, but I got to give you the shtick anyways. You can feel free to connect with us after the presentation. LinkedIn is where you'll find us. Aaron with 1A, Matthew with 2 T's. Cool. What you're actually going to learn today, like the content, we're going to go through a recap of what Black Friday was all about. Black Friday, Cyber Monday was all about from a few different perspectives. We're going to go over all of the things that you should be considering: shipping, customers, analytics, email marketing, preparing for next year. And of course, there is a Q&A. So that Q&A is going to be done through text. You can message us in the Zoom chat. You can lay out your questions at any time. You can message myself or Aaron. I'd prefer you message Aaron because I'm going to be the one talking for most of this. And the more you ask, the more answers you will get. We do have plenty of time at the end, but please, if you have questions throughout, let me know. Cool. The recap by the numbers. Yeah, it was quite a weekend. Shopify had a big billboard down in Times Square, and it was like $1 zillion per minute on average. It was quite awesome. These are the numbers just on Shopify. Obviously, Black Friday, Cyber Monday was a lot larger than this if you include all of the other platforms, eBay, Amazon, everything else. It was massive. Just on Shopify, though, an incredible 6.3 billion USD in global sales in 4 days. The average cart price, keep that in mind. The average cart price over that whole weekend was $100, 100 US, which is fantastic. Huge growth over 2020. And then massive mobile. Again, we were expecting this. 71% of purchase is made on mobile. These are the latest stats that I've got from Shopify. It's right from them. Kudos to their team for putting that all together. So quite some. And the goal for this is you to get even more, because the post-purchase follow-up is just as important as like the pre-sale and the selling on the weekend. And how do I get more value out of the same customer base? Cool. Great. Tactics that actually perform this year. So I'm going to steal some tactics that we get from a few of our technology providers. This stuff's coming from particularly from Clavio, based on what they see that is coming out. So obviously Clavio is not a Shopify specific app. They work with a whole bunch of technologies, but in terms of what they saw, the do's and don'ts of what people got right and what they didn't get right over BFCM. So the tactics that don't work, there was way too much confusion around miscommunication about deals right off the hop. So if you're going to continue to post offers or deals or coupons or discounts or buy one, get ones or any kind of that stuff. There was way too much confusion around, do I need to have a minimum cart value before I qualify for the free item? That really needs to focus down. You need to make your offering a little bit easier. There was so much back and forth in terms of the communication required to get that out this year. Really try and make the things that you're selling easy to get involved with. So anytime you're communicating, really try to simplify it, reduce the amount of miscommunication that can happen. Another one, again, the don'ts before we get to the do's. Don't treat your previous customers the same way you treat new customers. So they immediately know. Customers are getting quite savvy online. Just give them, segment your audience. We're gonna walk through some tools at the end of this to actually start segmenting your audience. You should definitely treat your existing clientele not the same as your new customers. We all hate it. I hate it. I'm a Rogers customer for my internet. And Rogers, if you're listening, it's like when the new deal comes out for like new Rogers subscribers and it blows the existing internet deal out of the water, the one that I'm already paying into. Obviously, that kind of doesn't feel great where you're treating a new customer better than an existing customer. It shouldn't feel that way. So definitely don't treat those two user audiences the same. People know that. Do the channels. Yeah, your Instagram and your Facebook are not the same channel. Your Twitter and your TikTok are not the same channel. Use them differently. We all like to cross-post content because it keeps the overhead light. But again, your loyal audience is going to see that right away. Sure, you can keep the communication simple across your channels, but definitely follow the platform-specific stuff. If you've got a retail location, if you're doing anything in store, for BFCM, I know that some areas of Ontario are all different. If you did, keeping that consistent with your in-store sales and your online sales, very important. Obviously, your in-store channel and your online channel are different, but they should be easy to follow. Quite a few brands, some big ones, simply asked their audience what they wanted to go on sale for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They sold big. They went out, they asked their audience 2 weeks before. They said, what do you want to see on sale? And they made it so, and they sold a ton of it. They didn't need to offer a deep discount. They didn't need to go into like the 40% offs. They just asked their audience what they wanted to buy. And quite literally, they sold it. So if you're thinking about doing that for the holiday season coming up, you might want to start planning that out over the next week, saying, let's just ask people what they're going to buy this season and then tell them, yeah, that stuff's going to go on sale. And here's going to be the sale. It's essentially a pre-sale, but you're crowdsourcing what you're actually going to sell. And then the reliance on discounts. Please reduce it. I'd offer more value rather than cutting into your price. Offer something for free. So after a certain amount, you get a free gift. Reward points are always people are getting into quite a few rewards programs. So definitely don't undercut your margins. People are becoming super price sensitive if you're increasing your prices before big sales just to get them back down to normal. You are getting shopped around because that's how consumers are doing things. But definitely you need to reduce your reliance on that. That's, again, these are from Clavio. They processed what felt like $100 zillion over Black Friday, Cyber Monday as well. Cool. Okay, we're going to get into things that you can do now that you're hopefully flooded with orders and you're expecting even more for the holiday. The shipping process is obviously a big one that small businesses struggle with because it's just an absolute influx of orders. And on top of shipping delays and on top of like carriers being flooded, and you might have some staffing problems because that's happening right now. And I've got to get orders out the door. We absolutely need to focus on this and make sure the customer stays at the forefront of who we're actually doing this for. So right off the hop, I'm not reading these slides, but the communication is key. If you think there's going to be a delay, just be honest and transparent. You need to set their expectations very clearly. If you're trying to get it out and get it in their hands before Christmas, but it's not looking like you can, you need to get in front of it. Because we don't want to build any ill will. We don't want to have someone that is just going to get more and more angry at the fact that they're not getting what they want. If you can get ahead of it and manage that, that is the best thing that you can do. So yes, communication. If you've sold out, if you've oversold something, just make sure that you're actually telling your customers, again, the timelines. If you still have inventory and you think I know it's the 14th, which is kind of wild. There's really not 11 days left before Christmas. You need to get it in their hands a little bit early. If you still have inventory, I would be offering like a curbside pickup option or a local delivery option that you can be assured that they can get it before Christmas. Otherwise, the timelines are like they're out. Like if you don't have your shipping handled now, of course, this presentation is obviously geared towards the holiday selling as well. So people are going to be buying things on Boxing Day as well, or returning things or buying more, using gift cards, all of the fun things that happen with the holiday season. I would still be communicating after into January about what that looks like in terms of them getting product. So I don't know if you're using SMS messaging, if you're using email, if you're using, we have quite a few customers that are actually calling people, and like getting a call from a business and having that three-minute chat works so many wonders at building loyalty. Whatever you need to do to actually communicate timelines, you must do, must do. It's going to set your brand apart 100%, and it's something that you can control. The tips, great. We have some actual suggestions for you. So we're going to go through a problem, and there's a bunch of suggestions based on your unique business. Great. Obviously, we should be pre-packing popular orders. So like if you've got like a main seller, I'd be pre-packing this as much as possible just to keep those logistics down so that you can kind of get ahead of it. And again, if you're using standardized packaging, cardboard, tape, you're using all of that stuff, I would be getting as much ready as possible. I know that it takes up room. You might have limited floor space. You might not have a giant warehouse to actually do things in. That's okay. Do what you can. But the more you can prep, the easier it's going to make after the fact. I touched on sending SMS or email. There's an absolute ton of SMS that got sent this year, like a ridiculous amount. There was like 6 million text messages that got sent on that one day alone, just with communication. It was wild. Again, err on the side of transparency. You must. It's your brand. No one's going to make those assumptions. Two, maybe not so straightforward things. If you have orders that are ready to fulfill, do it. The first in, first out process might not work for you. So I'll explain that to everyone just in case you've got some new business owners here. Normally, like an ordering system in a restaurant is going to be first in, first out. There's going to be all kinds of exceptions to that, but like the person that's waiting the longest should be the next person getting served. In this area, you might not want to follow that first in, first out process if there are slowdowns with specific inventory. You're going to want to prioritize orders that you can fulfill in full, get those out the doors, get those happy customers happening, and then you don't need to worry about the communication piece, and then manage the people that you can't fulfill because you're either short inventory or things are going slower, you're out of product packaging, or something's messed up in terms of your operation. But again, prioritizing the things that are ready is going to be good. And obviously, as small business owners, sometimes you have to recruit some extra hands to do things. Might seem like a good idea, getting the parents involved, getting friends and family involved to help. That normally that's fine. If they're inexperienced, you're just going to run into more errors. So just be cautious that you're going to have to the more volume you've got and the less experience on personnel that you have, you're going to run into errors. That's just unfortunately a fact of doing things. Be cautious with that. Have some kind of oversight so that people are actually getting the product that they ordered. Get that whole conveyor belt line going.
Matt, real quick, we got a question in the comments. It doesn't really tie into what we've been touching on so far. It's just Raymond asking, can you guys explain what keywords in SEO are? Because they're a new store struggling in that area. So cool. If I could chime in for just a minute to give a real simple answer to that. Short version, Raymond, keywords are just making sure your website talks in text about whatever it is you want to show up for in search. So that doesn't mean like jamming a bunch of extra keywords in there, but if you're selling products, make sure you fill out your product descriptions. That's where a lot of your keywords are going to live. Shopify tagging doesn't impact it, but like the actual text that's displayed to users on your front end, that's where your keywords are going to live. And really, that's just a technical term for like shoving those descriptions full of different words that describe the types of products you're selling in a way that people might actually type into a search engine. And then SEO, you don't have to do too much of that on Shopify. Most of the back end of your website is going to be pretty well optimized to begin with. When you get really into refining it, The big deal with SEO is it's just making sure search engines understand what they're looking at when they view your website, and it's how you structure your code specifically. But really all that's saying is make sure your content is easy for search engines to read. And then it's actually the content's job to do the actual performance. So you're going to want to make sure, again, the more you can build out your product pages with, the more content you can actually share on your site. That's going to give you your keywords, and it's going to make your SEO more impactful. We won't spend any more time on that in this workshop, because we do want to dive into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday follow-up specific stuff. But I know we've got quite a few workshops coming up in the future as well. And I'm sure going into some of the best features of a product page and some of the things you really need to do to maximize your online store are going to be included in future content.
I will absolutely make sure you get invited to one of those SEO workshops, Raymond. For everyone else, just make sure you relabel your images too. The file that your camera spits out on your images is gibberish. Relabel your images. That alt text is very, very important. Cool, great question, but very good question, Raymond. Great, we're gonna move on from the shipping tips. Okay, the customer segment. So you just had a ton of orders come in. There's gonna be a mixture of new customers, returning customers, potentially new audiences, depending on what you sold. We really, really need to understand our customers in order to offer them the most amount of value. We've got a few resources at the end of this. So if you haven't completed a business plan, or if you don't have a customer persona, or you don't know what a customer journey map is, there's going to be, I think the next workshop we actually have with Shopify is based on customer segments. So that's going to be a whole 90-minute presentation just on this, essentially this one slide. You should be looking at these things. Great. We've got new customers, existing customers, and then people that are neither, which would be like browsing, people that are potentially a new customer, or they're just kind of scoping you out. We need to care about a lot, and it's a lot of different things based on that audience. So very high level topic, you're going to have new, existing, in browsers in a bunch of different user personas. So it could be the grandmother buying something for her grandson. It could be the wife shopping for the husband. It could be the friend shopping for the friend. It could be X, Y, Z. There could be a whole whack ton of them depending on what your store actually sells. But we want to try and classify all of these audiences and make sense of them so that we can offer them the most amount of value. So new customers, we really want to start recording. What did they buy? How did they find you? What were their interests? How long did they spend on the site? Where did they go to start? How much are they spending? We really want to kind of understand where that new customer is walking through the door. The existing customer segment, we are going to have naturally more information on, because we should have a few things to start. We should have a little bit, they should have a little bit of history with us. It's very easy to tell in Shopify. If you were to go into your customer tab or in your orders, you'll actually see your customer history, how many purchases they've made, how many times when they first made their purchase, like their very first purchase back in time. You're going to see all of that. And really what we're trying to figure out is, are they buying the same thing again? Do you sell a consumable? Is their average cart actually going up? Are they exploring new things? Or are they kind of stuck in that rut? A restaurant, I'll use a restaurant example. A good server at a restaurant, or a good hostess at a restaurant, will say, if you liked this, next time you come in, you have to try that and that. Or they'll match a drink pairing to a food pairing, or they'll match a dessert to an entree, something like that. With online, we're going to try and get a little bit further into their buying journey. So if they're known for buying one thing, we want to introduce new things to them. How often can we play with the frequency? If they're buying things often, is it appropriate to have a subscription saying you're going to get this every 30 days? There's tons of businesses on Shopify that are selling soap and hygiene products, toothpaste, toothbrushes, all kinds of things that you just naturally need to replace as they are worn out. It might make sense based on frequency to get some automation in tow, get them actually into that cycle. You're going to build more value that way. An acronym here, I'm going to do my best to explain acronym. CLV is just customer lifetime value. We really, really want to know how much value over time this one customer brings to us. So customer lifetime value is very, very important. We want to attract as many people that fit our highest spending personas, our most loyal personas, because that's going to do the most amount of benefit for your business. So if we can figure out what they're actually looking for and put a dollar value on, you're going to sign up with us for on day one, but we're not going to deliver all the value until, day 300. And we're going to do that incrementally. And you're going to end up buying this and that. And you're going to discover this, and you'll follow us on social media and share it. And we're going to get a bunch of value out of you over time. We need to figure out what that value is today for the active customer. And we are going to try and increase that. Normally we recommend at 2H Media is we're doing that through education. So it's not a bunch of upsell. We should be educating our customers on things that are new. So if they buy X, we should be sending them care instructions. So if you're a clothing retailer, it's like how do I take care of my garments? I'm going to send you fashion accessories in terms of style guides, care guides, a whole bunch of things that are not designed to actually sell you another piece of merchandise, but I'm trying to give you the most amount of value out of that. And that's, again, something a big box retailer isn't going to do. So you should have more value as a brand with that. If you build those resources once. So one of the companies we work with is a furniture manufacturer. Well, great. You want to keep the furniture you've got looking good. How do you do that? If it's patio furniture, how do I prep it for next season? How do I prepare for the winter? Are there things I can do to get ready to make sure I've got the most out of it? You build that once, you can share that again and again and again. You are going to want to find the things in your sales cycle that you can create content. So evergreen content would be content that lasts for a long time, that's going to be true for a long time, and share that as much as possible to the people that need it. Cool. Browsers. There's going to be tons of them. I mean, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is notorious for people that are just going out there browsing. Maybe they're looking for things to add to their own Christmas list. Maybe they're looking for gift giving for someone else. Maybe they're just discovering your brand for the first time and they're just going through your site. What products did they view? Super important. Like, where did they start their search with you? What was the entry point? We want to know that. What point did they leave? What point were they not happy? Was there something wrong with the site? Was there something that just didn't work? And then, can we retarget them? Is this someone that we can retarget? Yes or no? You'll notice my cat just jumped on me. He's going to make an appearance from time to time. Can we retarget them? So is this someone that potentially could be a customer that might just be a judgment call? But if we're seeing a repeating pattern over and over and over, where someone is getting to this stage in the buying process, they've clicked on one or two items and they decide to leave, that would be raising some question marks for me, and we would want to be determining why they left. Maybe there wasn't enough imagery, or there wasn't enough social proof on the site. Maybe they weren't sure if they were going to get this in time for Christmas, or communication could have been a little bit more clear. This doesn't need to be an expensive problem to solve, but understanding that problem is very important. And again, there's lots of tools and email, SMS marketing, so you can go retarget abandoned carts, browse abandonment. There's tools there available for this. Again, BFCM people are getting bombarded with communication. So again, our point of view is make everything valuable. So if it's beyond the transaction, beyond sending someone the receipt for their purchase or their tracking code, if you're sending more information, it definitely needs to stand out. And that's where we would definitely be looking at going, how do I create content around retargeting this group of people to get them back onto the website and complete the purchase? So definitely, you're going to need to take a look at this. You're going to need to know what is valuable for someone new, what is valuable for someone existing, and then what is valuable for someone who has not decided to buy in the first place. Very, very important. Cool. I kind of just went over this a little bit. It's great. Let's spend a little bit more time here. There are lots of things as the business owner that can go and get. So active customers, again, I'll start in the middle here because active customers are fun and we can do more things with them. Gift giving guides, I'm getting a million of them. They're great. There's lots of contests. There's lots of follow-up material that you can actually get in terms of getting people onto social. Limited edition products are really important for this too. So if I've got a loyal audience and I'm doing something, running a scarcity where we're doing a limited run of something, super important to get those in front of existing clients first, existing customers first, because they will spend more money on product and brands they already know. We should be asking for reviews. We should be sending thank you cards. We should be doing some kind of personalization. within the actual packaging itself, the experience of opening up a new package from someone I've never purchased before, it kind of sets the tone on what to experience. Everyone likes opening something that they get in the mail as long as it's not a bill. So if it's a nice box and it's got a thank you card in it, and it says packed by, and it says something that is definitely letting them know it doesn't need to be small business oriented. It doesn't need to be too personalized, but definitely it goes a long way to show that you actually care. And again, like I mentioned before, including complimentary items, so repeat purchases, so samples, things like that. Again, in the cosmetics world, it's super popular to include a demo or a sample of a product so that someone can actually explore. Even in more complicated products like selling clothing, suits, things like that, having swatches, having matching socks, ties, cufflinks, a whole bunch of things, including things that you want your customers to know about in the future and come back and purchase. I need to turn that new customer, that first time purchaser, into an existing customer, and they really need to understand the value that we bring to the table. The big one that we didn't cover here on the browsing, the social media. We can retarget them using social media. If you're active on either Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, there are retargeting tools to get those types of businesses back into the mix. So if they're looking at product X on your site, the very next thing they should be seeing on social media is the thing that they either did not purchase. The big thing here is if they did purchase it, that you shouldn't be advertising them to them again. It's very prevalent in the travel industry where you've already booked your trip and you're excited to go, and then that there are still people advertising to you saying, hey, book your trip with us. It's like, it's already booked. You missed it. So just keep an eye on your retargeting for this, but you should go out there and get it. Analytics, great. It's like the fun thing that most people hate to go into, and it can seem kind of intimidating. We definitely need to use this. These are the tools that we're basing the choices we make in business based on data. We don't want to be off the cuff. Hey, is this a good idea? It could be a good idea. I'm going to let the users do the talking. Very difficult for a new business that doesn't have any prior data models. They don't have anything there. They don't have any ongoing statistics. Maybe this was your first Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so you didn't know what to expect. That's okay. There's a line in the sand. You're going to have to start somewhere. Every business didn't have this when they first started. That's okay. Going forward, you're definitely going to want to keep a track of things. We've actually got a resource in here specifically for your next Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So we used it to prepare back in August for this one. You should be able to record your results for it and use it next year as well. So we should have a little bit more of a baseline going forward. We really should. Things that you absolutely need to keep an eye on. Absolutely. In terms of sales, your site traffic is very important. It needs to go up. Obviously, we need to generate more traffic to the site. With that, we need to understand where that traffic is coming from. So the channels are more people coming from Facebook or Instagram Reels rather than Facebook posts this year. That is going to change year over year, no matter what. And if we can kind of spot those trends, you will be able to focus your efforts in the right places. So maybe I will dial back the Facebook posting. Maybe I'll produce more Instagram Reels. That's actually driving more traffic because it's just getting more consumption. Great. Top products, great. That's in terms of sales and page views. So if it's a top product, but it's not selling, let's figure out why. The top product that is selling, is that something that we should continue to offer? Is it possible that I can raise my price? Is it possible that I can cut my cost on shipping down? What can I do knowing that these products are something that people want? Can I save time? Can I save money? Can I increase the value in terms of maybe it just needs to change its priority on the website? Maybe we need to remove a click between someone discovering it and buying it. We definitely need to know what those products are. Returning customer rate. Oh, Aaron's gonna jump in.
Sorry, got a question in the chat that I want to chime in with. I have a gift basket company. Over the past couple of months, I've offered a free no obligation gift consultation, especially helpful for companies that were seeking gift ideas for their clients. There was no response to this, nor any bites on my buy 9, get the 10th free. This type of purchase would be perfect for companies looking to give a reasonably priced gift for staff. There's activity on my websites, but I've sold nothing for Christmas 2021. Suggestions? My my first suggestion is going to be to tie this right back into what Matthew was saying at the beginning of the presentation about keeping the offers simple. Most clients are not likely to jump into the obligation of like a full meeting. It's regardless of really industry or size of your company or what you're actually offering or whether they have to buy anything or not. Most people simply are going to want to browse your website and take a look around, maybe interact with a chat bot before agreeing to a full meeting. It's quite a big ask for your clients in terms of their timing. And then in terms of a buy 9, get the 10th free, I suspect it's just not appealing enough of an offer to compete with a lot of what else is on the market. And you probably want to be simplifying that down. Even like a 10% off is going to be a lot more digestible for most clients than something that's got sort of that much of a requirement to it as a barrier to entry.
In terms of top, it's a good question. In terms of top channels, and if it's a kind of a B2B play, I would really be looking at how much traffic is coming into LinkedIn. So I would be ignoring the other platforms in favor of a B2B friendly platform where I'd be going to LinkedIn quite heavily with my posting strategy, connecting with the potentially purchasing managers or the HR staff at bigger companies. They're going to be more likely to book a meeting knowing you on a personal level. So you as a business owner would be connecting with other business leaders on LinkedIn and having those conversations and then building your reputation that way. If most B2B transactions actually aren't a business to a business perspective, it's a person to a person. I've got a connection at business Y, and those connections are very important. So even how this started, yes, 2H Media is working with Shopify. 2H Media is a business filled with people. Shopify is a business filled with people. We actually have to connect with the right people at Shopify to make these things happen. I would suggest that you have to do the same. Is how do I connect with the right people so that way I can introduce them into what I'm selling, into what I'm offering. And then that way they will be much more likely to have a 15, 20-minute chat in terms of you'll understand their goals better. Do you do this? Do you do that? Okay, great. Let's actually talk about the specifics after. Normally a meeting is not a primary source of information. They're looking for the basics. That's why a gift giving guide would be a great source of content to put out so that people can view what a gift giving guide looks like. They're going to get their questions answered in the first place and then potentially jump into a meeting.
I've got another question in the chat, which is how on Shopify can we determine the particular social media source, i.e. Facebook versus Instagram?
Ooh, so Shopify is pretty cool that way, where you're going to get a lot of traffic that comes naturally through both of those platforms if you have those channels opened up. If you have, so if I was a business and I made a post on my Instagram and they clicked the link and I got sent to the Shopify store because they clicked the little shopping cart, or they click whatever the link in your bio, or if they click something in a comment, okay, great, it gets sent over to here. Shopify is naturally going to pick that up. How we actually link the purchase between one channel and another is actually not very technical. It's using a tag, a code snippet that's actually going to get installed on the Shopify side. On Facebook, it's called a pixel. So it's a Facebook pixel, and you'll actually link those two accounts together so that when someone goes from here to there, the system actually tracks them. So Shopify actually has all this technology built in. Some of the more, I'm going to say newer platforms won't have this. So like if I was a streamer on Twitch and I'm promoting a product and then I send someone to my link, normally you're going to have, like you'll create a referral link with a landing page so that I can actually track where people are coming from. On social media platforms, it's, if your Shopify store is built right, you should have all of those links set up. So yeah, you would just need to, so specifically for Facebook versus Instagram, it was just, you just need your Facebook pixel installed on your Shopify site. And it's quite literally just like finding the pixel in the back end of Facebook and pasting it into Shopify where it's asking for it. I think it's done on the settings tab, and then you're going to look at channels. So if you go to your settings, channels, and it'll open them all up, and it'll be asking for your pixel. Last time I checked, it was there. Super easy, and it's essentially the computer doing all of the work. On the front end, or sorry, on the back end, you'll end up seeing those analytics on the on your marketing tab or your analytics tab, depending on how you've got those dashboards set up. Cool. Back into this. Those are great questions. Those are great questions. Again, if it's a first-time business owner, you'll definitely just need to know that these things exist, and that's why we're here in the first place. Pre-COVID, Shopify had these like great tools available all the time for new business owners, where you would just interact with them and you'd come and meet us in person, and it was really cool. And now with COVID, everything's virtual, and obviously they've made some big shifts. So there's like more and more of this ramping up, where you're going to get access to professionals that'll give you the advice you need and kind of open your eyes to things that you weren't aware of. That's cool. Returning customer rate, we always want that going up. It'll never be 100%. That's like, it's like impossible, but you definitely want to increase your returning customer rate, because I want, after you've made a purchase once, I do want to build loyalty with you. I do want to have more brand exposure. I want people to find value in the things we do. So we definitely want them to come back and purchase. Sometimes it's hard, because if you're not selling like a consumable product and your whole brand is based on quality and you've got a lifetime warranty and you're doing things that really don't prevent or kind of put a barrier to you buying again, that can be kind of working against you. That's okay. That value is super cool. It'd be, how do we diversify your product range? How do I inject something new? How do I actually get you to make another purchase? But it can be hard for some businesses.
Got another question for you, Matt.
Cool.
What's a good returning customer rate?
Oh, I wish I had that information off the top of my head. There's going to be averages for every industry. There are going to be different averages for every industry. That's a good question. I'm going to write that down, because I can include that in the email we send you after. We're definitely looking at least 30%. We want to have somewhere between 25 and 30% across the board. It depends. Again, it depends on the business model, but I am looking for like a really good returning customer rate would be 30%. That's the last time I looked at it, but we can get you some more industry specific stuff. Like clothing is going to be a lot higher than potentially food. So there's lots of restaurants that you'll try once and never go back to. And it's not because the food was bad. It can just be price. It can be the occasion. It can be the area, but there's the same thing. Store conversion rate, obviously a big one. Your store conversion rate, I think there's like the average is between like 3 and 5% now for store conversion rate. Obviously you're going to want to store conversion rate, for everyone that doesn't know, is of all of the people that come to your store, how many of them decide to buy. So it's a percentage. We want that percentage to be obviously as high as possible, because we want to convert every customer that walks through the door. But even in retail shops, every person that comes into the store, it does not turn into a customer, regardless of how many products they pick up and how much brand exposure you have. It's never 100. But the goal is that should be going up over time. We want that to go up over time, especially on big weekends. We want that to be a very, very high mark to start. Conversion rate, there's all kinds of problems that you can have with conversion rate: slow load times, inaccurate pricing details, products that don't have great images. There's tons and tons of things that can negatively affect the conversion rate on things. Broken links. So definitely we advocate for having a third party, a business, audit your website just to get out of the weeds. It doesn't even need to be a business, a third party in general. You know your site better than anyone. You're going to want fresh eyes on it to determine, is this actually working? Does it look good? Does it feel good? Like everything's mobile friendly on Shopify, but really does it look good on mobile? In terms of email marketing, obviously open rate's a huge one. Catchy. Is your subject line good? Is the preview text good? Are you actually hitting them at the right time of day? Click-through rate, very important. Bounce, unsubscribe. Obviously, how many people are choosing to leave the subscription? Maybe you're emailing them too much. Maybe the last 5 in a row of no value. Maybe you're targeting the wrong audience. There's tons of here, but you should be looking at these things, because again, these are your owned sales channels, where independent of Facebook, independent of the social platform, these are customers that have double opted in to your communication strategy, that want to hear from you. So they want to hear good things from you. So this should be very, very healthy all the time. I could get you some rates here as well, but again, it's going to be industry specific. Your open rate, a good open rate is about 40%. It's hard to measure because not everyone opens emails at the same time. So you're going to get people opening their emails when they want to, when they're in their email and when they want to open that email. So they're going to get people opening emails like all week long that you send on Monday. Some people are only opening it for the first time on Saturday. So these are running statistics. Click-through rate really depends on what you're asking for.
Got another great question in the chat,
Well, good.
which is, if my site speed is reporting is low, how can I improve it? Do I need a developer?
Ooh.
To which, I mean, there's a few things you can do on your own. Ultimately, I'd be looking at hiring someone technical to look at the actual theme you're using, construction of your website, where you might be running into problems. But the very first thing you're going to want to look at is your images. And that's something you can do on your own. If you're uploading massive, like 2,500 pixel by 2,500 pixel images, that can cause a lot of slower site speed. So in general, I'd be looking at dropping some of your image resolutions and running them through a file optimizer to try to get those image sizes down, because loading those files in is going to be one of the biggest things that's going to impact your site speed.
Cool.
So that's where I would start. And if that does the trick for you, that's great. If not, you might want to look at hiring someone technical to take a deeper dive. I see. How big should they be for image sizes? We'd be looking at under 100 kilobytes, ideally. Like 90 kilobytes is around where you want to be. In terms of pixel dimensions, that's secondary to the actual size of the file itself.
Keep in mind, you obviously don't want to sacrifice too much quality. They can't be blurry, but they also need to be like, they're not going on a billboard.
It's really a matter of finding that sweet spot. Like if you've got 300 pixels per inch images for print, you can drop those down to 72 pixels per inch. That's going to drop a bunch of image quality that's not going to be noticeable on an average desktop, but is going to reduce quite a bit of file size. Got another question in there. Some tips on dealing with online site subscribers.
So in terms of, if you want to add to that question, dealing with their churn rate, dealing with getting them to opt into the subscription, what's the nature of the question there? If you want to, I'll give you a minute to add to that question, because there's a lot that we can talk about into getting people to subscribe. There's lots of pros, there's lots of cons. If you've got a specific problem, I'm all ears. I am going to continue on though. When that question pops back up, I will happily answer it. Okay, you should be updating this. So like the communication strategy that you have should be getting updated. Again, it could be more holiday focused. I did mention this before. So just Clavio alone, they send a ridiculous amount of text messages over Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Huge revenue increase, becoming super popular. You might not like it. You might not like the idea of sending a text message. You are not your audience. It is what your audience wants. And a lot of the younger audiences, if you've got a product that is geared towards a younger audience, they love it. They absolutely love it. They don't hang out in their email. They are on a mobile first generation. They are going to respond better to text. So that is my 2 cents on that. Like, you are not your audience. Sometimes you are, but really you're not. They should continue. So if I've set the expectation that I'm really good at communicating my audience, I shouldn't drop the ball in February. You should have a plan to continue on with good communication long after the sale ends. They should not be hearing from you again until the next Black Friday Cyber Monday, because you're forgotten. You need to have some level of standardization across this board. So great. There are some things for you to do here. You definitely need to request a review. Not everyone does it, but you should. Cross-selling or upselling, you should do. You should. Sending product information to them, great. Warranty information, cleaning instructions, care guides, all of that information that's around your product. If you're not sure of how to get this information, your customers will normally ask for this. If I got you to run an exercise we run at the agency all the time, I would get you to write down every single question you receive in a week. Every single one, from a customer, from a client, from anywhere. If you write down those questions for a week, you will have all of the information to post on your social media, all of the information that you'll need to share via text or email. That's what people are asking for. Give it to them. If you don't generate enough in a week, do it for 2 weeks. They ask the questions. They will ask the questions. You need to figure out a way to answer them in the most scalable manner. So when should they be getting that information? Can I get ahead of it so they don't ask that question in the first place? Is it a lot of it can get turned into a TikTok video or a reel or something like that, so that's a little bit more engaging and fun. If that's not your jam, it should just be, you could design a nice PDF that gets sent with your product, or some kind of printed material that goes in at time of unboxing. There's all kinds of things you can do that aren't sales focused, but that do increase the value around the products you sell. And obviously your social media awareness, you should tell people where you are, especially for a new time purchaser. Hey, in the future, if you join our social media or whatever, this is where we broadcast our product launches. This is where we share our information. You connect with other like-minded people, X and Y. Single send campaigns, you should share your holiday hours if you're a brick and mortar. When are you open? When are you taking returns? When are you doing and where? Especially if you've got multiple locations. You should send them a thank you. So you should be doing a BFCM recap with your customer base. Thank you for so much. This is how many orders we've actually received. It's been awesome over here. You'll see tons and tons of people on social media, and they've just got one of those Shopify label printers, and it is just running a mile a minute. People like seeing local businesses succeed. So sharing any of that content is super important, especially if you're going to do any of the behind the scenes stuff where you've just got like you in a room completely like drowning in cardboard, putting everything together. Yeah, share that stuff. People like to see it. That the thank you stuff is really, really important. And then preparing a holiday series is just like, great, here's all the information wrapped up into a nice little bundle. I'm not trying to sell anymore with you, but I can definitely share some warm wishes that they can actually see, and thank them for supporting a local business. Great. How do I prepare for 2022? The templates that you're using can get a refresh. You should definitely be reevaluating your welcome series in terms of maybe you're doing some A/B testing, maybe things are working, maybe things aren't. We definitely want to purge any inactive subscribers. That should reduce your fees no matter what platform you're on. So if you've got a subset of customers that don't have any real interactions, I'd get rid of them. And then you should be looking at your automations. You should definitely be looking at which ones are performing. Can we get more value out of them? Yes or no?
It's actually a great time to chime in with the follow-up to our subscriber question.
Ooh.
Which was, what kind of offers should we be considering for subscribers, or just sending them thank yous?
Oh, okay. So to make sure I understand this is how I'm taking it. I've got active subscribers that are monthly subscribers or yearly or quarterly subscribers that are getting the product, and we want to follow up with them with essentially what's actually happening beyond a thank you. So first things first, yeah, you should be offering them a thank you. That's kind of the bare minimum. When it comes to a subscription-based service, we definitely want to get them into our social media. We're doing something new every single month. We definitely want them to get excited. It's going to increase the chance that they're actually sharing, promoting, retweeting, commenting, liking the content that we're putting out on a normal basis. We want those types of individuals that are loyal enough to actually subscribe to the product to share this with their friends. So there are all kinds of strategies around getting their network involved. There's a lot of businesses that will actually do the subscription stuff, and every so often they'll include 2 of the same item in the box with a card that says, hey, thanks for being a subscriber after 5 months. Share this with your closest friend or something like that. And sure, they might just choose to keep it for themselves, but it is an opportunity for them to actually go out and give someone something and generate that conversation on your behalf. So that would be where I would want to go with it. So what is that low value loss leader to get someone else involved? Can I make that process easy? There's loyalty points that exist where people are actually able to redeem them and get extra things. There are limited edition items that can get included in those boxes. I'm not sure specifically what you sell in terms of a subscription. It's easier to do with physical subscriptions rather than digital subscriptions because there's just more touch points you've got. But I'd be looking at how do I get another person to subscribe? If I've already got someone, definitely.
Got another question in here that ties into this page, which is what automations are available on Shopify? Now, we like to use third-party apps for a lot of our automations. We use Clavio for all of our email marketing automation. But starting in the simplest terms, Shopify has a lot of automated emails that are going out whenever people purchase a product on your store. That's the first place I'd be looking at reviewing your automations if you're not using a third-party solution. And I'll let Matt weigh in on this more if he has anything to share on automations, but In terms of what we were thinking about when we wrote this slide, the core thing there is making sure any of the automated emails that are going out are properly upselling and representing your brand voice and actually communicating the right messaging to your customers. And even without a third-party solution, there's quite a bit of customization that can go into your automated emails within Shopify that are going to make quite an impact in how your customers perceive your brand.
There are, depending on what scale of business you are, Shopify Plus offers like a ridiculous amount of automations. It's expensive. It's quite a bit of an investment compared to like a normal Shopify subscription. Normally, it's not a question about what automations are available. It's more a question of what type of business are you running and what automations will you actually need to be successful. So having a giant list of them is kind of not a great idea because not everything is relevant to everyone. Some businesses will never gain value from a subscription model service, while others must have that to function. So it's really about connecting with someone that can actually walk you through your business and say, here's the tools that I wouldn't go to a plumber and say, what tools do you have? I would go to a plumber and say, I've got this problem. How can you help me fix it? Because Shopify in this case is the plumber. So Shopify can handle most things. And then with a crafty development team, you can get a lot done. Cool. Reflecting and prepare. Okay, great. You're going to get one. If you're subscribing to any email newsletter list, you're going to start seeing this really soon in January, February. The best time to prepare is as early as possible because it doesn't get slower. It really doesn't. January and February are going to be slow. That's the best time to optimize your business, is when your buyers aren't demanding the most of you. That's really the time that you need to put a lot of thought into what's going on. Can be very difficult because the supply chain and the logistical nightmares that are happening right now in the world are obviously they impact almost everyone. So I would be talking to your suppliers. I'd be looking at lead times. I'd be looking at trends for what they're offering. What new products did they have coming out? I'd be looking at, are there any price break points that I can now potentially get from my network? Did I overcome? Did I order 10,000 of something? Can I get some deals on my volume? There's lots that can happen. You need to start looking at it. We've actually got some resources here that I'm going to share with you that you can start writing some of this down, file it away, bring it back out in August when you're actually going to making those purchasing decisions and landing the product. But the best time to write this stuff down is when it's fresh. You're not going to have to recall. Your memory's only so good. Write it down, get it on paper, put it in Notepad, do whatever you need to do with it, but definitely get it while it's fresh. Cool. What you're going to actually do. So we are going to give you all of these things. There's going to be a ton of things that you're going to get with some follow-up. We're going to tackle all of these things depending on what size of business you are. We didn't really get into managing risky users, but depending on how many orders you actually process, this can be a big one, especially if you're selling like shoes or clothing or things that are often returned. I'll go through them really, really quickly on what you can prepare for. We definitely want you to isolate your user persona so that you understand them better. Your staff, people that you're working with, you definitely need to know who your customer is. You absolutely need to understand how they go from not knowing about you to becoming a loyal customer time and time again. We need to map that out because there will be specific points in there that we can do things to influence their buying behavior. And that should be related to each user persona. So each user persona gets a unique journey map. Not everyone's the same. They should go hand in hand. There's going to be a few resources that I'm going to share with you in a second. You should have kind of an annual marketing overview. Like planning for a whole year can be kind of difficult. If you want to do a quarter at a time or 6 months at a time to get started, definitely a good way to do this. My cat is going wild. Yeah, buddy, it's almost food time.
Matt, do you want me to dump some of these resources in chat?
Absolutely. Dump them in chat.
So this is just links to resources that we think you'll find helpful in actually preparing for 2022.
There are some downloadable resources. I promise you they're free. They're actually on a Shopify store. You can just download them for free and use them, print them out, use them a bunch. They're there. I don't actually see them in chat just yet, but everyone will get them.
I'm just formatting that comment. If you want to keep going, I'll have this.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're new to email marketing or if you want to redo that, there's actually some video stuff that we'll share with you as well. And then for planning for 2022, you're going to need to do all of the things again, based on what the problems you encountered this year were. Is my photography up to snuff? Do I need to increase my conversion rates? How do I actually plan for next year based on the information I've got this year? There should be a few things. There's a couple of articles here that you should read. But I would definitely, if you're not subscribed to the Shopify blog, they put out a ridiculous amount of content and it's all high value. Sometimes it's not the perfect fit for your unique business, but the overall lessons that they share, I think they're doing like 2 posts a day now, which is absolutely incredible. And they're absolutely great. But you should be tailoring where you're getting content on the regular so that you're always keeping on top of the trends. Aaron is just putting this stuff in chat, but yes, we are at the QA portion of this workshop. We are going to get you all the slides. There's my email if you wanted to reach out to me. You've already given us your email to get into this workshop. We're going to send you the full recording, all of the things that Aaron's putting in chat, and the PowerPoint, which is sweet. If you did want to connect with us, 2H Media on LinkedIn, give me a call, email, whatever. You are going to start seeing quite a few workshops now that the new content on Shopify is live. So the new events page on Shopify is live. That's where I would check back to look at those events. If you were to subscribe to the Shopify stuff, you'll get notified of when new events are happening and what communities are opened up, and you don't have to miss anything. Normally, I can speak on behalf of us. Normally, we will record and distribute this afterwards. Not everyone does that. So it would be a good idea for you to attend as much as possible. And then the Shopify community is pretty awesome. So if you have any questions later on, if you think of something, there's my email. But yes, the chat is wide open. If you have questions, we are all ears. Otherwise, you are absolutely free to go.
A couple of questions in chat.
Ooh, okay.
Real softball for you. What does BFCM stand for?
Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
And when should you start your emailing campaign for Black Friday, Cyber Monday? 1 week, 2 weeks prior, etc.
Ooh,
I've got a really great long answer for that, which is you want to go watch the Preparing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday Shopify Meetup that we
back in August or September.
One of the links I'm going to post in the chat, but I will also let Matt chime in and answer that question.
I'm going to open up a few things. So what Aaron is going to be sharing with you is a website where we put all of our free resources for everyone. One of them is actually a Black Friday, Cyber Monday canvas. So Aaron is actually going to have this in chat if everyone can see this, hopefully. This is actually going to walk you through how to prepare next year. So there's some strategy components, what to do 1 month prior, 2 weeks, 1 week, relax a little. So like the day of, during, and then follow up. So if you're just to download this, it's free. You can start filling out all of this it's unique to your business. And even if you obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday is over. It was a few weeks ago. Even if you didn't use this, I would record the results you have, because hopefully next year you'll be running a campaign again. You could reuse this again for the holiday shopping. If your industry has any other big sales events, this can kind of be mirrored into that as well. So just because it's a global event, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, doesn't mean that you can't use the principles around this document to use for any other big sales cycles. Trade show events, big things that your business is integrated in. Cool. Back to this. But yes, just download it, print it. If there were in-person workshops and we were doing this like back at Shopify like we used to do, everyone would just be getting like printed copies of this stuff and we'd actually go through it in a big room and it'd be really cool. And hopefully we get back there.
Yeah, I've got a few more coming through. Can you speak to the differences between Privy and Clavio?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know Privy very well. Clavio is I can make a really quick Google search and I'll tell you what Privy is all about right now.
I've got a question about the links, whether or not they can be sent to email. All of these links are going to be included in our follow-up email after this presentation as well.
You'll get them all. So with a very quick Google search, we know Clavio quite well. We build on Clavio all the time. Privy looks like just a competitor. So it looks like it's offering the same type of tools. Again, we live in a society where competition exists. It does look like Privy and Clavio are fairly straightforward. What I would be looking at whenever we evaluate technology is, what does the support look like? So yes, the technology is going to do all of the things it's going to say it does, and then you're going to want to customize it specific for your business. And normally you're going to need to go and say, okay, I need help from the technology provider themselves and the educational resources they have, or I'm going to find a partner that is familiar with the technology to customize it for your business. That's where I'd start. So between Privy and Clavio, I would look at what their partner ecosystem looks like. Can I find a local service provider that will help me with this when I need help? Not if. It's like normally when, because your business will grow and you want to do more things. That's it. That's all I'd be looking at. I'm an advocate for one, but I can't say anything negative about Privy. I've never used it. But I would be looking at that. From the pricing model, the pricing looks fairly straightforward. It looks very comparable. It does look like Privy might be for some smaller businesses. It doesn't look like they've got any larger plans available. Most people will get more than 3,000. So from Privy's point of view, most businesses have more than 3,000 emails in their contact list.
I think that answers a follow-up question, which is, do you have a recommendation on your one? The only one we use is Clavio, but we don't know Privy well enough to really compare. Any advice about a partnership with a physical store as well as an online store? So if I'm understanding that correctly, it's any advice on how to manage both a physical store and an online store?
Definitely. So if you own both, there's this sweet thing that Shopify has been working on for quite some time called Shopify POS. It's fantastic. We've onboarded a lot of people into it. It's going to keep all your inventory nice and easy so that you can't oversell your online versus your in-store. It's going to keep all your customer personas correct so that when someone decides to return something, buy online and return it in store, it's going to be able to handle that. It's nice and slick. It works on an iPad. The cost is fairly affordable, like really affordable. Most plans actually include some version of it, a POS Lite, but you might want the full one. It really depends on what you're trying to do with the online and in-store. There have been some great programs. I know that we're kind of speaking to an Ontario audience. There's a good chance that you may have had a store developed through a program called Shop Here through Digital Main Street. And that was geared towards getting a store up and running in the first place, kind of tackling the basics. 2H Media has been involved with Digital Main Street for the whole time. So like since its inception in 2017, I believe. There's lots of things that program did well. There's lots of things that program is constantly improving and iterating on. Most of that stuff did not really talk about the retail side. It was all digital. Happy to answer more questions about the digital side, but if I was to try and link those two things together, I'd be looking at a Shopify POS solution immediately. You go on the Shopify POS website, you can book a free consultation with the Shopify team, which is pretty cool, and they'll walk you through all the details. I'll put that link in chat right now. Otherwise, we also do some of that stuff. So if you've got questions, I'll put this in the chat. That's Shopify POS. Cool. You'll find some.
The next question we've got is, what's the best way to increase my conversion rate? Now, the person who's asking makes jewelry, and they use Instagram to network. Their pictures are optimized, but how do they increase their conversion rates?
Pictures are optimized. I'm going to do something on the fly here. What's your Instagram called? First thing. So pictures are optimized. That's great. I would say look at the content in the pictures. So is it just taking photos of your jewelry in a white box, in a light box? Are they actually on people? Normally there is a, how do I increase conversion rate? We have this sweet thing that I think just got shared, and it's about your marketing persuasions. There are 6 marketing persuasions that play on human psychology and behavioralistics. Normally that's where we are in the, like as a marketing agency, that's what we're playing with in terms of getting someone to buy things. That's from the user standpoint. If the website is already loading fast and the design is great, there might be a problem with displaying the value. So like, how do I increase the value to someone? Which would be, is it made of X and Y? Is it important that it's made of like stainless steel versus platinum versus something else? Is it handcrafted? Can we highlight who's actually producing the stuff? Is there any eco-friendly options? Like, what is the total value? Normally jewelry is a hard one. Aaron actually has a huge amount of experience in the jewelry world. He ran an absolutely massive e-commerce website quite a few years ago. Oh, the cat again. A few years ago, specifically for well, let's Aaron. Piercings.
Yep, it was back in the early days of e-commerce. We were selling on WordPress before Shopify was really as widely accepted as it is now. I don't know if it was even available at the time. And yeah, we were the biggest wholesale piercing supplier in Canada, which, you know, in terms of selling jewelry online or selling any other product online, some of the basics are pretty transferable regardless of what you're selling. The biggest way to increase conversions is to make it really easy for your customers to buy, which sounds like a non-answer, but more specifically, what does that mean? You want to decrease the amount of time they have to spend on site in order to make a purchase. So make sure your navigation is really clearly laid out to decrease the number of clicks that it's going to take for someone to get to your product page and actually purchase something. Matt, I did send you that Instagram link, by the way.
Oh, great. Take a look.
So you're going to want to decrease your clicks to get people down to the product pages and actually making a purchase as fast as possible. The best way to think of it is, imagine for every extra click that it takes for someone to make a purchase, you're going to lose half your audience. If you can keep that mindset in your head when you're working on how your site is actually laid out, it'll really encourage you to make your site as easy to navigate as possible. And again, this goes back to what Matthew was saying about bringing in a third party, whether it's a friend, a customer, or someone else who's just not looking at your website every day, to actually try to go through the whole process and see what sort of barriers they encounter. The other thing I would do to increase conversion rates is make sure your communication on your website is really excellent. This goes for any industry as well. Sort of the holy grail of e-commerce is trying to replicate the in-store experience as closely as possible. Now, with a website, that's really difficult to do, in the sense that we don't have salespeople in store to actually answer questions and make recommendations on the fly. You don't have a physical location that people can actually walk into and touch, feel, smell the products, and really capture what they look like in a natural environment. And so the keys to increasing on conversions in an online store, a lot of it comes down to what kind of photography you're taking. Does it show off your products in the best light? How much information are you actually sharing about your products themselves? Is it easy for people to learn everything they might want to know about your products right there on the product pages? And then what are you doing in terms of additional communication and customer service? How easy is it to find your shipping rates? If your shipping is very complicated or very expensive, and you're not communicating that until the checkout process, or you offer free shipping after a certain value and you're not communicating that until the checkout process, you might find you end up with a lot of abandoned carts. So these are all the things that sort of go hand in hand to increase those conversion rates and actually make your website perform better.
I'm looking at your Instagram right now. The biggest thing that you have the opportunity to do is actually include what's called Instagram shopping, which allows people to actually view the products that you're posting. I'm going to put a link in chat for everyone. This is very similar to the question before about tying Facebook and getting the analytics out of your social media platforms and getting them into Shopify. If you look at that link I sent you, you can actually follow. So Instagram just does this. You'll have to follow some steps, and you can actually integrate your Instagram and the products you've got on Shopify and actually have them. It'll walk you through how this actually works, so that when you're wearing that nice pair of earrings in the post, someone can actually go and say, I like those earrings, right in Instagram. They can go click that button and it'll shoot you over to your Shopify site directly on that product page. So there's lots and lots and lots of things where it's like, if I'm going to broadcast product out in the environment, I'm going to do that. Word of warning, not every post can be salesy. That's okay. I think you're doing a fine job of that right now. The next thing I would be looking at is increasing my follower engagement or my follower count in total. And to do that, it's fairly straightforward. I'm going to engage with other people's posts. Like, it's social media. It's supposed to be social, and then it's supposed to be media. So I would really say, like, how much social content are you sharing? How much engagement are you giving other people? And normally that just means going into being a good business owner and engaging with your community. It does look like you're doing a good job here. I would just continue doing it. Rome wasn't built in a day. I would continue. You're doing reels, you're doing posts, you've got stories, you're using the tool very well. Keep doing it.
Another thing to consider for your website itself, if conversions are an issue, is you might want to look at a chat bot or a chat service that goes to your phone. It's one of the best ways to offer that in-store experience online in terms of actually providing real-time customer service.
Keep going, Aaron.
I was just going to go for the next question that I'm seeing in the chat, which is, can you quickly explain using discount codes?
We have a video that'll be coming out on our YouTube channel going through discount codes. Discounting in Shopify is super straightforward. There's actually a tab on the left side that literally says discounts. There are a few discount codes that come out of the box from Shopify. So there's price discounts, fixed discounts. So there are percentage discounts, which is obviously what it says. It's a percentage of the product off. There are price discounts, which is instead of it being a percentage, it's a fixed amount. There are buy one, get X. So buy one, get one, which would be buy one, get one free or half, or like buy X, get Y. There's one more that's eluding me right now in terms of the, I think there's free shipping as well, or something like that over a specific order amount. Discounting in Shopify is really easy. There are additional discounting apps that get more complicated, like bundle discounts. So like I'm going to put like 15 things in the cart, and based on those things, it's going to give me like 10% off of all of them. It can get quite complicated. I'll normally recommend for small business owners to start with the basics, to go and say, okay, great. You'll see bigger brands doing things like shop the look. So you can buy like the whole collection. You can buy like the whole living room set, buy like the chair and the sofa and the carpet and the painting and everything and the candle holder, and you can save some money. Small businesses, I don't recommend it. It's not everyone wants everything. But yeah, discounting in Shopify is fairly easy. There is a YouTube channel. We put a ton of resources into our YouTube channel. It's all geared towards teaching business owners specifically on email marketing and Shopify for the time being. You're going to see a heck of a lot of Aaron on that. And he actually walks you through like start to finish, the technical requirements, the advice. It's quite cool. If Aaron wants to drop the link in chat for that.
Yeah, awesome. I've got a couple more questions as well. One is, can we include the links with the slides? Yes, we're going to include the links in the email we send out with the slides. And then the follow-up question is, do you know how to process a GWP over a certain amount across all products on Shopify? It won't let me add more than 100 products. I'm not sure what GWP is.
GWP.
Gift with purchase. Do you know how to process a gift with purchase over a certain amount across all products on Shopify? It won't let me add more than 100 products. So if I'm understanding the question right, you're trying to create a collection of gifts. But it won't let you have over 100 gifts.
Not quite sure how that one works. I've got another question I'm going to jump to right quick. This is most places like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, as soon as you get on it, it says the merchant account is not following the policy. So it's not following their policies. So normally all of those platforms are going to make you go through some kind of verification. You'll have to verify the domain name. You'll have to verify that the Shopify account is owned by you. They have a process that will walk you through. There are things that they will not allow you to sell on those platforms. Cannabis, if you're a retailer of a hydroponic store, if you're doing anything in the cannabis industry, that's going to be a hard no. If you're like a gun shop selling ammunition, that's going to be a no. There's going to be lots and lots of tobacco products. There's lots of things like vaping products. There's lots and lots of products that will exclude you from being a retailer on platforms, and it's platform specific. You'll need to go through the guidelines for that. Google has a very similar thing. It's called My Money, My Health. So if you're a healthcare provider or if you're a financial planner, something like that in the service field, there's more scrutiny around anything that is financial based or healthcare based. So you're going to need to look out for that, and you can just make the you might need to talk to a professional or a consultant to see if you can actually get on the platform in the first place. What you're looking at, Raymond, I'm looking at your baby store. It looks like it doesn't look like a special items for delivery. It doesn't look like it's it doesn't look like a baby store. So your question is, it looks like a baby store. I don't see you're selling women's clothing, kids clothing, Christmas specials, you're selling magnets, you're selling a variety of things. You're just going to need to go through their terms and conditions and make sure your products are compliant with them. What's most likely happening is there is one or two products that are not compliant, that's blocking the site. So definitely they're trying to protect their audience, like Facebook is protecting their audience from everyone else trying to be a seller of things. But I would go through their simple things like using like branded content. So like you can get in trouble. So if you were selling like something with like a Home Depot logo on it, they're saying you don't have permission to put that Home Depot logo on your stuff. You're going to get kicked from that. You won't be able to advertise under someone else's terms. Your copy text might need to change for that. But again, there are some finer restrictions in getting this going. If you make the product yourself and it's not tobacco, firearms, cannabis, if it's not like a controlled substance on any kind, normally you're not having problems. If you're a reseller of product, you can run into all kinds of things. Cool. I can't see the chat, Aaron, so you're leading this.
I see Joan said to everyone, I had knitting needles rejected from my shop. I appealed and they were reinstated, then rejected again. It appears I can no longer appeal. Is there a way I can
it thinks it's a medical device because it has the word needle in it. And that's somewhere where you're going to need to get in front of a Facebook. You should have a method to contact Facebook. So either through their support line, but obviously that is an algorithm, a robot saying needles are needles and we don't allow you to sell needles. So obviously, again, one of the things I didn't mention, like you can't sell needles online. You can't sell medical product is the same thing. These mistakes happen. Those platforms, however good they are, they do make mistakes. You should be able to go back. The best thing that you can do is re-enable the product. What is the other word? What is the other keyword besides knitting needles? And get the product reinstated, get that going, and just carry on. So don't spend your time fighting with Facebook. That's a losing battle. Change the product name, even if it's a knitting needle. The people that are looking at your site understand, the people you're selling to will understand it's a knitting needle. The platform's going to fight you. You kind of have to give a little bit to get a little bit.
Regarding troubleshooting Facebook, believe it or not, their business support has a Facebook page, which makes sense when you think about it, but isn't intuitive to most people looking for support. So if you have technical questions about Facebook, that's a great place to reach out for answers. So I just dropped that link in chat. That's the first place I go if I'm troubleshooting something on Facebook, because they're actually pretty good at giving you support once you manage to get a hold of them. And usually finding that page to send a message in the first place is the hardest part of the process.
Mark, I'm seeing your question, and your company name is Fantat Weapons of Bass Destruction, your fishing company. Hilarious. That's awesome. Got a lot of fishermen in my bloodline. That is fantastic. Question is, how often should we be posting? I'd be going right into the audience, your audience for this. You should be posting. It's a two-part question. You are going to post as much as possible, as long as you can keep the frequency consistent. And the posts need to be based on what you are capable of producing as a business owner. So how much can I post and about what consistently? And you're going to use all of the tools those platforms have. So that's reels, that's videos, that's posts, that's stories, that's everything. All of that content should be unique. You can run it time and time again. Again, like you should be doing a big sporting events. Like when the tournaments are on, you should be posting around tournament time. When bass season opens up, you should be posting around that time. When ice fishing is a thing, like you're going to be posting on those normal cycles where people are actually stocking up. I would be going into all of the secondary markets. So I'd be following boat manufacturers, motors. I'd be getting into anything additional to fishing. So like I know that fishing culture very, very well. You're going to want to get into Mercury. You're going to want to get into Lund. You're going to want to get into all of the businesses that are supporting the industry as well, beyond lures and tackle, rods, reels, everything else. You're going to want to follow exactly what they're doing. You're going to stay to the industry averages as consistently as possible. That's the answer to that question. What are the big guys doing in terms of content? I want to pretend like you're a big guy. I want to follow them to a T. And then again, that name is Weapons of Mass Destruction. That's ridiculously cool. Mark's a clever one.
I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat.
Cool.
If anyone wants to get anything in last minute, now's a great opportunity.
Other than that, I definitely want to thank the clever team behind that Shopify logo. I know that they didn't really make an appearance today. That's okay. This was a Shopify workshop. Super cool. Hopefully you'll be meeting some community managers soon so that you can start making connections with them as well. Please feel free to connect with each other. The Shopify ecosystem is a bunch of like-minded business owners. So it doesn't matter if you're selling knitting needles or fishing lures. You are business owners all working with Shopify. You are these peers. So feel free to connect with each other, send each other messages, add each other, support one another. You're all in this together, as Red Green would say. I can make that reference because it's Canadian audience. Cool. Absolutely. We thank you for attending. You will absolutely get an email from us later on. You can reach out. Otherwise, you are free to go and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.